Do you want to start putting out some links? How's your week been going so far?
It's been flying by. It's just feels like there's a new thing to do every single day. But
Yeah.
it's just emails and documents and phone calls and appointments. But otherwise, I mean, it's good. Works fine. And
is there any end in sight?
not for a while. Right now, we're waiting on courts to like officially approve a couple of legal documents appointing me, basically. So once I get that, then everything else should kind of fall into place. But for now, I'm kind of stuck with stuff until that happens.
Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of stuff.
But I know you can do it. I'm waiting for Google Drive to recognize my new folder I just created.
Oh, okay.
Come on. That way I can get you the link. Or the link to the pictures will be in there. While we're doing that, waiting for that, let's go in here. So there's gonna be like a lot less slides today, but
Okay.
I think the way I have this set up, it's gonna work pretty nice. So I'm excited to see how it's gonna go.
Sweet.
So, couple of the files right now.
Posting in a few channels here.
Nice. Okay, I got that all squared away. Okay, cool. How hard is the Bye-Bye-Pocalypse hit you this week so far?
It would be harder if my team was worth anything beforehand anyways. My team's already crap, so my team probably looks like most teams this week more than anything.
Right.
But not ideal. My two top receivers are both out, so, and not from injury. They're just out. So not ideal when you're starting Jalen Waddle and either T.Y. Hilton or Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll get into that. We're gonna get into all of that. So.
Oh yeah.
Order of matchups I have for the previews. I've got Ryan, Foster, Tyler, Alex, Jay, Ben, Katie, Cassie, Josh, Jack, and then me and Jordan. So
Okay. Yeah, I just put them in there just from what I saw, so we can always redirect.
cool. I like that. All right, double checking
All right.
everything right there. Looks good. Time we got 6:46. We'll be starting here in just a minute or two. Maybe I dreamed it, or maybe I didn't. I hope I didn't. I'm seeing if I. You know what? Maybe I just never did it. I guess I didn't do it. All right. Well, I didn't do it then.
I'm bringing Chloe downstairs quick, but we can still start since you do the intro part.
Yep. I'm going to go grab my beer quick. And we will be good to go. Probably dead silence here. Yeah, there is. Why wouldn't there be? Okay. All right. Jack, are you there? Chit.
Yes, I'm here. I was just muted.
All right. Cool. And man. All right. We are started pretty much right meow. Want you to print. Why won't you print? Oh, this is episode 10, by the way.
Oh, okay. I saw the last one was 8.5, so I just went with it.
I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't know. We don't know how to count here. It's just a fact. Print. Did you? I think you did what I just think you did. And if you did, that's impressive that your mic could pick that up.
What did I do?
I think you might have just ripped ass on the stream.
No.
No? It sure
No, I
sounded
moved
like a
my
bubbly
computer.
one. Oh, okay.
I mean, if I did, I would have taken credit for it. But no, I just moved my computer and it kind of like skidded this mouse pad that I've got.
Oh, okay, that's probably what I heard then. 650. All right, I'm not going to be able to do any of that. So cool. We are recording at 6:50. getting into it, and here we go. Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. This is episode 62, week 7. It is the Bye-Bye-Bye-pocalypse. It might be cringeworthy, but that's fine. I don't care. I just want to thank everybody for coming in and checking us out here on the Victorious POD. We are a fantasy football podcast and live stream. Jack, how's it going, man? How we doing this week?
Good. I'm always good when the episode name starts with a pun, so I'm in for that. Ready to make our way through this disgusting fantasy week where half the people seem to be gone.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be getting into all of that here shortly. I just wanted to say real quick, thank you to everybody who has donated to our cause here at the Victorious POD. We are striving to make our show better and better for you guys each week. So your donations help with that. You can find our link to our donation in the show notes. I'd also like to say thank you to Levi Oki. He is responsible for all of the artwork that you see here on the stream and on all of our social media sites. All of our social media sites, you can find where to reach us in the show notes as well. So make sure you please go and check that out as well. I don't really have too much else to say except for our join our Discord. Obviously, Discord is the best place to interact with us, and we will be getting into stuff from Discord later on in the show. So, with that being said, Jack, we are going to be moving on to our bits and bytes segment here. What are you snacking on today? You're muted.
Son of a being boring, drinking out of my Yeti, just water pretty much all day nonstop. But as far as the little bit of bite stuff going on, Christine and I went to a apple/pumpkin orchard this past weekend, and we got these little like a 6-pack of apple cider infused donuts things. You can see that there.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
There we go. So
nice.
I am snacking on these things. They are delightful. I'm not like a crazy over the top apple flavored kind of guy, but when we've got it on something else like food, I'm all in.
Yeah, right on. Luke is saying, let's get it. So I would agree with that. Let's get it for sure.
What are we getting?
I don't know. I'm assuming he's talking about the the apple and the pumpkin and all the donuts and all that other
I
stuff.
already got it. I don't need to get it. I
Well,
already own
he probably wants to get some, so I don't blame him.
it.
For me, I'm being pretty boring as well. I've just got this great value protein bar. It has peanut butter and dark chocolate. So I mean, milk chocolate's better than dark chocolate, but they don't have that at the store. So, and then of course I'm being the white trash dog crap. I've got Coors Light. So I really got to get to the liquor store and get some craft beer going here. So, what are your bits this week?
My bit, we've already kind of mentioned it a couple of times here, but the Bye-Bye-Bye-pocalypse going on. Obviously, we've heard a lot of people talking about any podcast you're listening to. You're going to hear them mention it. But I was looking in a little bit deeper to see like just how huge it's affecting people, and it's pretty crazy when you get into the numbers of like which players that are performing so well this year are going to be out. So to start, the teams that are out: the Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Bills, Vikings, and Jaguars. Kind of a little bit of a spattering of top, middle, and bottom teams all over the place. But when I dove in further, as far as fantasy guys, that means this week we are missing the QB 1, 7, 9, and 10, to name a few, the RB 2, 4, 6, 11, and 15, the wide receiver 5, 8, 10, 12, 13, 17, 22, and 24. That's just wide receiver ones and twos that I'm naming. And then the tight end 4 and 6. So chances are if you're playing in more than like one league, you've probably got multiple guys through different leagues out. So I don't remember in recent history having a week that's like this impacted by some of the top options. And that's not even mentioning all the other like big name guys that are out with injuries too. So the McCaffreys, the Chubbs, stuff like that. So just crazy to see. I think it's going to be a very, very weird week for fantasy. I think a lot of teams that might not necessarily be better are going to take the wins just if they happen to have better depth or picking up the right matchups. So it's kind of a good chance for those of you that are maybe struggling in some of your standings to steal a win here and maybe kind of get the ship righted, so to speak.
You totally stole my thunder. I was gonna come in and be like, that is not even considering who is injured, who is supposed to be playing this week.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
right.
yeah, I mean, you're just in shambles. Like, I was supposed to be, my two running back starters are Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler. Eckler's on bye and Chubb's out. So, who am I starting right
Mm-hmm.
now? I'm starting J.D. McKissick and I'm starting uh,
Oh,
Tyson Williams, who last time I checked has a 0 right now because
yeah,
he was a
yeah.
healthy
He's not
scratch
getting
last week.
carries.
A healthy scratch. Oh my god.
Ugh.
I don't know. I know Tyler was trying to hit me up for a trade yesterday. Tyler, I'm sorry I never got back to you last night, but it's just like I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna have to take the L this week. So I don't know.
Yeah, same thing with mine. I just for fun facts am currently starting either due to injury or buys not one of my top four running back wide receivers that I drafted. So two of my running backs are out. Jesus, my dog's losing her mind. Two running backs are out, and my two receivers are both on buys. So top four options are gone.
Do we need to take a quick be right back?
You can handle it from there. I'm gonna go see what she's freaking out about.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we'll just do this here real quick. All right, so my whole thing was going to be to since we're talking about buys, we were gonna I was gonna ask Jack what strategy are you taking now if you're in first place? Are you just gonna just not freak out and just play whatever scrubs you have on your bench and just take the L that week and just be fine knowing that there's still a lot of season left and your team is really sitting pretty? Or are you the opposite end where you're in last place, you don't have any shot whatsoever, and you're just like, well, I'm not gonna go spend my fab, so I don't know. Not usually the approach that I would take. I would always try and get the win, but some people might have that mentality. Then there's the more interesting part where maybe you're just inside the playoffs, or maybe you're just outside the playoffs, and you're really sweating hard these bye weeks right now. Week 7, probably the worst bye week I've ever seen. Um, only only to be trumped uh later this season with a bye being during what, one of the first weeks of the playoffs if you have like a 2-week playoff system. So I mean, yeah, it's just terrible. For me, until Jack gets back, um, I I don't exactly know what I would be doing. Am I gonna go try and spend a whole bunch of fab on a guy, on especially like a 1 week rental, uh, just to be able to get in, or are you gonna trade? Are you gonna trade your pieces that you have to get something to fill in? Now, if you're sitting at the very top or the very bottom, I'm saying that's not a viable option. You're not trading away anything unless you're in a dynasty and you can get, picks for players. But in a redraft, you're not trading any of your valuable pieces to be able to start for this 1 week. It's just not worth it. For me, I would absolutely see what I can do to spend money on fab. If you haven't blown all your fab yet, I would definitely be going out and trying to spend money on fab, or I'm sorry, spend your fab on players that will be able to get what you need. But yeah, I'm just not exactly sure. Give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna do this here. Al, I see that you are in the waiting room. I just moved us so that whatever it is you're doing won't bother us, and you'll be able to join us later if you absolutely want to. So do not be discouraged that we moved out of the waiting room. We shouldn't have been sitting there in the first place. So, getting back to what I was saying, players this week that you'd be targeting, like Dearness Johnson, stuff like that. Anything that especially running backs, any sort of running back that has any value, scoop them up. You might need them. Like if there's Le'Veon Bell on your waiver wire, maybe go pick him up. If Tyson Williams is a healthy scratch again and Latavius Murray isn't playing, it's a good chance that Le'Veon Bell might see the end zone this week again. So I would definitely go take a look at players like that. I'm just not exactly sure um, how well they're going to do. And this is like I said, this is the toughest bye week of the year, just because so many good players and so many good teams are going to be out. I was gonna ask Jack what he wanted to do, but he is still not back, so I am just gonna have to be moving on here. We're gonna be moving into our NFL pick'em. Jack right now he is sitting at 2-1. Last week he picked Indy over Houston. Uh, he got that one correct. This week he is picking New Orleans over Seattle, and I see that he was nice enough in the notes to add what teams he cannot use. So next week we will definitely have a nice little spreadsheet up there to show everybody. Also, so moving on, I'm 3-0. I can't believe it. The words that are coming out of my mouth. I picked Cincinnati over Detroit. I figured it was an easy win. They won last week. This week I am going to be picking. I was gonna be picking Denver, but apparently I can't pick Denver tonight. So screw it.
Yeah, you cheater.
I'm gonna go the other way then. I am gonna see if I can get Cleveland. I know it's a really terrible week to try and get Cleveland because all of their running backs are out and they've got their backup quarterback, Case Keenum, going. But
Half their offensive line is out. 2 of their receivers might be out. It's a whole thing.
Yikes.
But it could go either way.
Yeah, it's really gonna be a close matchup, I think. So I will put down, or I'll type in here that I am picking Cleveland over Denver. So Connor, he is 2-1. Last week he had Tampa Bay over Philly. He was correct. This week he is picking San Francisco over Indiana. Alex, he is 2-1. He has Dallas over New England. Last week he was correct. This week he is picking Green Bay over the Washington football team. Foster 2-1. Last week he picked Indy over Houston. This week he was correct with that pick. This week he is picking Miami over Atlanta. Garlic, he is 1-2. Last week he picked Buffalo over Tennessee, and that was rough. They lost that one. That was a great game. This week he's picking New Orleans over Seattle. Brandon, he is 1-1. Last week he picked Baltimore over the Chargers, and he was correct. This week he's picking San Francisco over Indy. Jag, last week he picked Jacksonville over Miami. What a clutch pick that was. And this week he is picking Cleveland over Denver. Luke last week also picked Indy over Houston, and this week he is picking Denver over Cleveland. One thing to note, that Garlic was the only one who got one wrong this week, so suck it, Garlic. And if you want to join in, make sure you join our Discord so that we can keep going here.
To be fair, Garlic wanted me to say that the 3 weeks we left out, he had him right. So technically, he'd be like 4-2. But who's counting?
Nobody's counting. Nobody cares. I don't care. So that's tough. Oh well. All right, we're going to be getting into our next segment here, Jack, and that is going to be swimming upstream. Why don't you take it away here a little bit and tell us what's going on with swimming upstream?
Yeah, so it's been a little weirder this season since I was obviously out for a couple of weeks, but I know at least with the Heineke pick, you kept my levels going okay. As far as last week, I picked Trevor Lawrence. Big letdown. I was hoping for him to do more in the early Sunday morning game. He ended up with 15.86 points. He did have 300 plus yards and no picks. So on paper, I mean, he had like a good NFL game, but fantasy wise, it wasn't the best. He only had 1 touchdown, really didn't do anything rushing wise, which I was counting on him doing a little bit of. I was a little bit let down. Usually I'm trying to shoot for that 18 plus with streaming, but then I went and checked. Really, nobody else did well. The only guys on the board, Cousins obviously had a really good week, but I actually believe he was dropped just before Sunday, so he wasn't an option when I was picking streamers. And the only other one who even had more than 18 points was Derek Carr with 21. So, I mean, beyond that, everyone was 18 or below. So just not a whole lot of streaming guys doing much in general. So I didn't feel quite as bad. Overall, do you have the picture up there of how we're doing for the season?
Yeah, it's all up there on the stream right now.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we are sitting at 122 points, 0.42 points. And that means we are the number 11 overall quarterback on the season if you were to keep using all of our quarterbacks, which is awesome. We did drop 2 ranks from last week, but I mean, when you don't score into the 20s with your quarterback, it's going to be tough to hold water or even progress. But I think this week we might actually have a chance to come back.
Yeah, with all the bye week guys, we got a good shot.
Just to let you know, also in the notes, if you're looking at them live, they are updated with the pictures in them, so you can see this stuff easier too. So, have you picked a quarterback that you wanted to go with this week?
Yes. So I'm going back to the well here a little bit with a guy that I've chosen at least once, maybe twice for the first 6 weeks. But again, there's just not a whole lot of options, especially with the buys. So the only one that I really liked as far as a pick this week was Derek Carr. Not a lot of other great matchups, people that are playing rough defenses. Derek Carr does have 21 or more points in 4 out of his 6 games this year, and he has 2 touchdowns in every game except for 1. Last week, statistically, he threw for 341 yards and 2 touchdowns against a really good Denver defense. So, I mean, he can get it done despite the matchup and just the fact that they can't really run the ball. So I feel like he should at least be able to be a borderline QB1 top 12 quarterback versus the Eagles this week. He's all but a lock at this point for probably the 300 yards just because he throws so much. And if he can get a couple of touchdowns, we'll see if he can get into that 18 to 20 point range.
All right. Now, so the official pick is Derek Carr. I am going to challenge you this week though, and I am going to be
it's on.
I'm going to be picking Carson Wentz against San Francisco. San Francisco is the ranked 23rd out of 32 against quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy scoring. So I'm putting Carson Wentz on my fantasy roster this week for my swimming upstream. So
I like the head-to-head. All right.
All righty. That sounds great. We are going to be moving on to our next segment here. It is going to be the Tailgate Zone. And what the Tailgate Zone is, it's a time where we want to interact with our listeners here. The best way to interact with us for sure, like I've already stated, is to join our Discord. There is a link in our description to join our Discord. In the Discord, there is plenty of topics to talk about when it comes to football. You can ask us questions there. It can be football or non-football related. There's sit start advice if you have questions about that. People will chime in. We have so it's just a bunch of stuff like that. We also you'll see that I've added a couple new hangout spots if people just want to hang out, maybe watch some football together or whatever. There is the tailgating lots that I've added. There's the purple lot and the gold lot. So you can join those if you guys ever want to just come in and hang out. So we do have a Discord question this week from Alex. I'm pulling it up here right meow. And Alex, Audio Al, he writes to us, bye weeks have hit and seems like they're hitting us harder in fantasy this year. Maybe that's just me, but that's just some bias. Let's say you are a player in the NFL and your season isn't going
bias.
Let's say you're
Sorry.
it's all good, man. Let's say you are a player in the NFL and your season isn't going as well as you'd hoped. Maybe your team is shitty or you're just not getting the stats you thought you would be getting this far. What would you do during your bye week? Would you plan a trip? If where would you go? Are you going to relax at home? Your boy needs to know. Al, thank you so much for our question. Jack, I know you've thought long and hard about this, so I'm going to have you definitely go first.
All right, my 2 cents. Realistically, I don't know if I'd be planning like a full-on trip because I feel like just the amount of stupid questions you're going to get from reporters the following week, or like headlines of, "Oh, the Minnesota player was seen out in Miami for this week. Blah blah. Blah. Is he not committed to the team? And why?" Like stupid stuff. So it's just not worth the headlines. I would be full on in support of like just taking the week at home to kind of decompress, maybe spend more time with family. With how much the NFL players are on the road constantly, and just like even at home, I mean, you're practicing 5 to 6 days a week with walkthroughs and everything like that. So I think I'd rather just take the time and kind of just like shut off from football a little bit. That's just me though. It's a long season. So that's my 2 cents.
I think for me, if I was not married, did not have a family, and I was pretty young, like if I was, second, third year, I've already had a nice amount of money coming in. I might go take a trip. I don't know exactly know where I'd go. It wouldn't be
I'm
anywhere
just more
too
boring.
extravagant, but um, I'm not going to Vegas, that's for sure. I'd probably go visit somewhere. I don't know. I I love live music, so I might want to go if I know that there's gonna be a big concert out somewhere. I might go out there and see one of my artists that I like or something. It's gonna be pretty chill. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm not gonna go skydiving. I'm not gonna go, do any of that stuff because you absolutely can't. But if I was older, I'd definitely be staying home. I'm probably sore. I'm probably just gonna want to hit the ice baths like all week. Maybe the what's that the chamber that you can go into that's like negative 300
A
degrees for
hyperbolic
yeah
or like, yeah.
yeah whatever you can do to just try and recoup and recover. So, and I'm sure that's kind of what a lot of players are doing this year or this week. You've already played 6 games, and so I'm sure you've got nicks and bruises and you're sore. So the chamber is definitely where I'm going. So there you go, Al. We appreciate you asking us a question on the Discord. I see in our chat here, Josh is asking us, should I drop Brandon Ayuk? I have him in a keeper and he's only $1. Well, it all depends on what's out there on your waiver wire. In a
My
dynasty,
two
yeah,
cents
go
too
ahead.
would be it depends on, I guess, how many people you're allowed to keep. Like if it's just like an unlimited, but it's only just you just got to pay the dollar amount that they're for, or some leagues I know do a thing where like it's still dollar amounts, but you can only keep up to 5. So like then I wouldn't use a spot for it. But I mean, if you can keep whoever you want, $1 on him figuring it out next year in just his third year, I like that chance. I still think he's got potential for his career. It's not like it's over already.
Yeah, my gut reaction in a dynasty is I would absolutely keep him. If Debo goes down, which he has been known to get hurt, I think Ayuk can step in, and I don't necessarily know if he's going to be as efficient as what Debo is, but he definitely has that big play ability. So Absolutely. What up, Chloe? What's going on? You got a question? You want to ask
She just
Victoria's
crawls under
POD a
the table
question?
and is like, pay attention to me. She'll lay on the couch behind me all night and not move. And the second I start this podcast, she's like, oh, hey, look at me.
Dude,
So yeah,
hey,
she's needy.
Chloe, we have 8 live viewers watching you around the world right now. You are the most famous dog in fantasy football as of right now in this point. So
We should we should
congratulations.
we should have her and Hendrix, Alex's dog, do a co-host podcast together, and we just take the night off.
Bruh. Too bad Alex is gone. I was gonna have him come in here. He took off though, so that's too bad. So all
Mhm.
right. So yeah, keep Brandon Ayuk for sure.
Yeah,
Right now.
absolutely. You're not going to get anything worth him in Dynasty versus just keeping him.
Yeah.
So,
If
or a
anything,
keeper. I'm sorry.
if you can get a good pick, maybe. But I mean, honestly, I think there's too much upside to in a dynasty format to get
Yeah.
to drop him. So thank you for your question, Josh. We appreciate you watching and listening, and keep coming back. Join the Discord. Absolutely. All right, moving on. We are going to move into our we're going to be moving into our Victoria's Secret segment here. Victoria's Secret is our league of record here. We talk about all of our matchups and stuff like that. Even though we do have the flavor of Victoria's Secret, we do talk enough about fantasy players in general so that you will get a good enough sense of what we're all talking about here. So moving on here, I'm just going to start it off here. I played Alex last week. I beat him 85.98 to Alex's 83.1. Alex had Jalen Hurts, Stephon Diggs, and Greg Zuerlein be his top 3 players. On my side, I had Pat Mahomes, Mike Gesicki, J.D. McKissick as my top 3 players. Moving on, Ryan beat Katie 97.46 to 81.1. Katie's top 3 performers were Aaron Jones, her Dallas defense, and Justin Tucker. Ryan's top 3 was Kyler Murray, Darrell Henderson Jr., and Antonio Brown. Foster played Cassie this week in what was a monster of a matchup. Foster won 135.82 to Cassie's 113.2. Cassie's top performers were Dak Prescott, Dalvin Cook, and I can't remember his first name, but he is a running back with the last name of Herbert. So I got to get better.
Khalil.
Yep, Khalil. Thank you. Foster's top 3 players were Josh Allen, Leonard Fournette, and Damian Williams. Moving on, Jordan played Jay 101.12 to Jay's 92.08. Jay's top performers were Tom Brady, DeAndre Hopkins, James Robinson. Jordan had CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, and Carson Wentz. Moving on, Tyler played Josh. Tyler scored an impressive 117.98 to Josh's 102.3. Josh's top performers were Aaron Rodgers, Najee Harris, and Josh Jacobs. Tyler had Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, and Noah Fant. And our last matchup, unfortunately, Ben absolutely destroying Jack. I'm sorry, Jack. 101.44 to Jack's 74.44. Jack's top performers were Matt Prater, Ryan Tannehill.
Did I have any?
Well, I mean, they list
My
off your top
kicker.
3. They list off your top 3. So your kicker had 15 points. So, I mean, that's not saying much. Anyways, Ben had Jonathan Taylor, Matt Stafford, and Cortland Sutton. So that is pretty brutal. Moving on, we do have our standings here, and I just got to write these notes down here real quick so I can make sure that because I'm trying to put in timestamps this week actually, so I'm trying to be responsible. All right, so moving on to our standings. Sorry about the wait on that. Our standings, I am sitting all alone at the top of the leaderboard. I am 5-1. I have a 97% chance to make the playoffs right now, and that is fantastic. Foster, Tyler, Jordan, and Ben are all 4-2. Jay, Ryan, Katie are 3-3. Josh, Alex are 2-4, and then Cassie and Jack are 1-5. So, Jack, we're not feeling too good on the season so far this year, are we?
when let's see, my first 6 picks, the only one that's playing is Travis Kelsey. Saquon's hurt. My next 2 running backs I drafted are hurt, and then this week my 2 receivers are on bye. So I mean, I just has not worked out for me from the injuries or just underperformance. A lot of guys I thought would have been better coming in, but now I just have to fight not to take the punishment. So, but if you combine our podcast hosts as a whole, I mean, we're 500 on the season, so that's pretty good, I think.
You are dragging me down.
I am. You just gotta cut bait. It's like
Jesus.
your rose on the floating door right now, and you just gotta like push me.
You know what's
Say
what's
I'll never let go, Jack, and just whoop.
do you know what's exciting for me right now? So this league has been around for like I think 11 years. I think this is the 11th year. And there has never been a back-to-back winner. So when I am a third of the way through the season and I am sitting in first place, it makes me feel really good that I could be the
The
first back-to-back.
the only downside is that sometimes a jinx because I don't know if you know, but in our 11 years, there's only been one time where the regular season champion first place person has actually won the championship.
That's true. This is your 11.
This guy.
Isn't like number 11 like a lucky number?
I don't not I
Well, I'm
could
making it
be.
up, and I'm telling everybody right now that 11's a lucky number. So this is the 11th season, and so I'm saying that the number one seed and the previous year's champion will be this year's champ again. So just saying. So all right, I don't think I have anything else that I
Nah.
really want to get to on that. We are going to be moving into our next segment, which is our matchup previews. Some of you guys might be looking at the time saying, "Holy crap, you guys are already almost done with your pod." But I'm just gonna say one thing that we are gonna be breaking down these matchups, and we will be giving plenty of fantasy insight here in this stuff. So I just need to switch to my next.
So don't get your hopes up. It'll still end up being long. We know you were worried.
Yeah, 2-hour podcast just around the corner here. So, all right. Looking at our matchups here, our first matchup that we have is going to be Ryan versus Foster. Right now, it looks like Foster is just going to be dominating this matchup. Jack, do you see anything exciting or concerning when it comes to the matchups here?
Yeah, I mean, Foster's team's been doing really, really well. I like Ryan's team more than it's being projected, but I mean, Foster's like the clear number 2 right behind you at this point. So if I had to pick just like one thing on each side, we're going to try to just like do a bullet point versus go on every single person. But for Ryan's side, I'm worried. Speaking as a Tyler Lockett owner in Dynasty myself, I just don't think he can do anything without Russell Wilson. I mean, he's already a really streaky player as it is, where he goes off for 20 points one week and then lands you with 2 the next week. So I think Geno Smith underthrew him or hit him in the feet when he was wide open about 5 or 6 times last week, and I just don't see him doing anything until Russell comes back. So that's going to hurt you a lot as technically your number 1 wide receiver. And then on Foster's side of the ball, I'm expecting Darrell Williams just to dominate again. He looked great in the last game in place of CEH while he's still on the IR. So I think he's going to ball out again against Tennessee, who's a pretty weak rush defense. So I'm going to give Foster the nod here.
I would have to agree. I mean, Foster, every time I see Foster score, I feel like his team has just scored just absurd amounts of points this year. Like, I think he's been over 150 twice this year. I thought it was 3 times, but it's only been 2. And then he follows that up with another 130 plus. He might have done 130 plus twice, but I don't know. So his team is really scary. One thing that interests me, and I know everybody else can't see the benches here, but on Foster's side, Foster is going to be starting Elijah Mitchell in his flex, and I see on his bench that he has Jamal Williams, Devonta Parker, or Corey Davis. Do any of those 3 players, would you start Elijah Mitchell over any 3 of those players? Corey Davis, Jamal Williams, or Devonta Parker?
I think I'd probably start him over all 3 personally. I mean, I think when he's been healthy, Mitchell's been getting the workload. The only thing that scares me is if Trey Lance, for some reason, is the starter, but it sounds like it's going to be Jimmy G because Trey Lance takes more of the rushing. But Jamal Williams going up against the Rams this week, and he's behind Swift. I know he gets receiving work, but I just don't see it. Corey Davis has had a couple of splash weeks, but he's also had a lot of bad weeks now, and the Patriots usually take away the number one option. And Devontae Parker is, I mean, if he was fully healthy, I'd maybe think about it against Atlanta, but I think he's still got a shoulder and a hamstring issue this week, and I don't believe he's played the last couple of weeks. So just based on all of those, I would personally go Elijah Mitchell. I think he's a safe bet to at least get you, 10 to 15 touches this week.
I'm trying to look and see if I could find what the defensive ranking was for all of these players with the teams, but I wasn't able to find it. I know that the secondary for Atlanta isn't very good, so that it's right there makes it interesting for Devonta Parker. But if he is not fully healthy, then absolutely I wouldn't be starting him. Looking at him, is there any news? I don't see any. What do we got here? Yeah, see, I mean, he is still a limited participant, so definitely, I think Foster made the right choice by starting Elijah Mitchell. So I'm picking Foster, and I'm pretty sure Jack said he's picking Foster. So we're gonna be
Yeah.
moving on to our next one here, and I just have to go down here real quick. And our next matchup that we have is gonna be Tyler versus Alex. Um, Tyler, he is projected 109 to Alex's 84.6. Jack, is there anything exciting or concerning that you see in any of these matchups?
I'll just make one note about Tyler's team. Just with how insane that Derrick Henry is playing this week, or this year, I mean, you have to ask, does Tyler's team just feel like a super flex at this point? I mean, Derrick Henry's, I know it's been insane to start with his volume and everything, but he's averaging 25.7 points on the year, which is just absurd. And for a little bit of context, I came across these couple of crazy stats. Derrick Henry is currently number one in all of fantasy, not just as running backs, but literally over every quarterback at the moment, which I'm sure it won't end up that way because, like, forever for the last several years it's been like 10 quarterbacks and then a receiver or a running back, but he's literally scoring more points, which running backs are already crazy valuable, but for him to be outscoring a quarterback and then Tyler gets to start another quarterback like Lamar who has crazy upside, it's just scary. And then fact number two, which this bothered me a lot, Derrick Henry currently, I believe he has 10 rushing touchdowns if I remember correctly. 3, 6, 9, 10. Yeah. He currently has more rushing touchdowns than the Vikings, the Packers, the Steelers, the Panthers, and the Saints all combined. So we're talking about, for all their running backs, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Christian McCaffrey, who obviously has been hurt a couple of weeks, and then Alvin Kamara, like 5 of the pretty universal top 7 or so running backs coming in on the year. Literally, if you could have taken Derrick Henry to start the season versus them, and he has more rushing touchdowns than all of them. So just scary. If he doesn't cool off, Tyler's going to be a very, very tough team to beat. So that's my 2 cents for this matchup.
Okay, so I just wanted to add one thing to what you were talking about with Derrick Henry. Last night I was listening to our good buddy Face Esquire, friend of the pod, and he had his week 6 review on Twitch last night, and I was watching it, and he was talking about Derrick Henry. And I said in chat, and I honestly believe this. Now, don't misconstrue my words because I'm going to say it very clearly. Derrick Henry, with the success that he has had as a power running back, if he continues what he is doing, he is definitely going to contend with AP, Adrian Peterson, as the best power rusher of all time. Now, I say contend. I'm not saying he's going to be better, but he's going to contend. And that says a lot because Adrian Peterson is by far one of the best running backs ever to play the game of football. So that's just telling you how much of a talent that Derrick Henry has been this year. So
I ask not to nitpick, but are you saying that AP is one of the best power running backs of all time, or like one of the /best just running backs period of all time?
Power running backs. We both know that
Okay.
Derrick Henry and AP cannot catch a football to save their life. So I mean,
Totally agree. Okay, I just was making sure. I'm like, there are several other running backs I would take above both of them, but as far as power running backs, yeah, I feel like Henry has already cemented himself in that. He looks like he's on pace for another 2,000 rushing yards this year, and with the extra game, if he stays healthy, he could easily break the rushing title, and it would be surprisingly fairly easy. So um, he's looking insane. It's just about how much he can do it. I think I saw before last week he was on pace for something like 430 or 450 target or carries, which would also shatter the most carries in a season. But then everybody else who's like the top five most carries in a season have all completely fallen off the following year and had their careers like plummet. So I know we were saying that about Derrick Henry coming into the season. You can only have this kind of volume for so long, even for a beast like him. So I'm worried that when the cliff happens, whether it's an injury this year or injury next year, just decline without an injury, I feel like it's going to happen very quickly. So it worries me for like dynasty, but as far as like this year or next year, like at this point, I feel like assuming he continues at least in a similar, like close to the current pace, even if he's not lights out, he's got to be the number one overall pick next year. Like the way he's playing, like you'd be tempted to take him over even McCaffrey, just with McCaffrey struggling the last couple of years with injury.
yeah, absolutely. I have no problems taking uh taking Derrick Henry number 1 overall. I know a lot of some people would say that's crazy. Um, but I the numbers have been insane. What I find to be more insane is that not necessarily how crazy the stats are, but how insane it is for him. They literally put the whole team on his back and they just run him into the ground and he has not gotten injured. It is completely
Yeah.
insane.
Every
So
defense knows what he's going to do. Julio and AJ Brown have barely done anything this year on offense, so it's not like they have the big threat of the passing offense to worry about. And he's still like, for how monster of a man he is. I think I saw too on his like super long run last week, his 75-yarder or whatever. He hit over 21 miles an hour, and I think was the fastest time, at least for someone his size, in the last 6 years in the league. Like, that's not even fair. He should be a slow guy that's just tough to tackle, but he can still do that too.
all right. So enough
Enough pumping up Tyler here.
Well, there's actually one topic here that I did want to talk about with Tyler's team. It is his tight end position. Now I know people can't see the benches, but Tyler right now is starting Noah Fant, and he's actually playing right now, so we can't actually change him. But this is going to be a hypothetical. And just to let you guys know that Denver is I'm sorry, Cleveland right now is actually beating Denver right now. So let's go. Um, Tyler has Zach Ertz on the bench, and now he was recently traded to Arizona. Who would you rather start? Would you rather take a shot on Zach Ertz, or would you be more comfortable playing Noah Fant?
Fans, I'm with Tyler in his current lineup here. I will take the proven commodity over a guy who looked terrible last year and hasn't done anything this year. Granted, I get he was splitting time with Dallas Goedert, and I think a change of scenery will help his fantasy outlook. But Fant just had a great breakthrough game for the season last week, and I still like him. So um, I would definitely be the way Tyler's playing it here and go with Fant.
Now, I'm really glad that you said that he was splitting time and that in a new scene, with a new set of scenery, he would have a better time with fantasy. Let's not forget that Arizona is stacked with wide receivers that demand the ball. You have AJ Green, you've got uh, DeAndre Hopkins. There's Christian Kirk out there. Rondale Moore's even not as many, but he's seen, some targets. He blew up early. But I'm just saying that there is a ton of targets out there in Arizona. And it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how Ertz is going to affect the fantasy dynamic of all of those players. I'm not saying those players are necessarily going to drop off a ton, but instead of AJ Green or DeAndre Hopkins getting that red zone target, that might go to Zach Ertz, where you didn't really have that before. A giant body like Ertz was acquired by Arizona, so that's gonna be something really interesting to that I'm gonna be looking forward to. Moving on, we haven't said a darn thing about Alex's team. Alex, you're gonna lose. It's just that simple. I'm sorry. We're moving on. So, let's see here. Our next matchup that we have here is going to be Jay and Ben. Jay Jay is projected 100 to Ben's 96.9. Currently, Ben has a 5-point lead since there are games going on right now. Jack, what do you see in this matchup? Is there anything that is exciting or concerning to you?
Ben's team just overall, he's kind of getting screwed over this year too. He's decimated by injuries plus the bye. I mean, looking at it, he's got Montgomery still on the IR, Kittle on the IR, Gallup on the IR / bye. Michael Thomas is on the IR. Chark and Madison are both on bye. So I mean, he's starting pretty much the only players he has left. So I think that's going to be tough for him. That being said, I do like the majority of his starters. We'll see what Tim Patrick can do against Cleveland, and then Johnny Smith is kind of but maybe for a touchdown, who knows? Having to start two Broncos wide receivers, I'm not loving in this probably run-focused matchup. But I do like Stafford on his side of the ball. He's got the revenge game this week with him going against the Lions, his old team, and Goff on the other side going against the Rams, his old team. So I expect Stafford to put up a lot of points there and try to beat him through the air. On the other side of the ball, just quarterback versus quarterback. I mean, Brady's been lights out to start the year, too. He's the QB3 on the year, but he did struggle versus Chicago last year. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think the QB matchup's going to decide it. I would probably lean Jay here just because I like the rest of his team more, but Stafford has the potential to go off for 25 points this week, so we will see.
I would agree. I'm picking Jay to win this matchup. Actually, I like his team better. Dallas Goedert all by himself doesn't have to learn a new system. He's just gonna. I mean, I think he's definitely gonna feast. Tom Brady definitely better, like you said. One thing that I wanted to highlight here real quick. You were talking about Matt Stafford and having the revenge game, and I see that Ben has Van Jefferson on his bench. Do you think, or let me ask you this: would you rather start Tim Patrick or Van Jefferson in this revenge game with Matt Stafford? Van Jefferson has had some decent weeks. He has had, I believe in week 1, he scored 14 fantasy points. And then in week 4, he scored 15. He's had kind of a couple of dud games. So it's definitely a dart throw. But what are your thoughts on Tim Patrick versus Van Jefferson? Who would you rather start?
They both make me sad. I mean, hopefully you don't have to start either one. I feel like they're both just playing for a touchdown at that point because, I mean, neither of them have really done enough to be worthwhile besides a touchdown. So I would probably go with Van Jefferson just because I think Stafford's going to throw the ball more than Bridgewater and the Broncos are going to. So I think the chances of him getting a touchdown is a little bit higher, but both are probably touchdown-dependent wide receiver threes to me.
Okay, so just for record here, Tim Patrick, Fireball Jones, has seen, and these are the number of targets: 4, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 6. So the last 4 weeks, he has seen an okay amount of targets. In fact, some games I would say a good amount of targets. And he has been ranging between 9 and 10 points per matchup, except for the outlier in week 4. So I would say that Tim Patrick definitely is a viable flex guy that you can rely on to try and get you to that double digit point. So I don't think, I wouldn't be as down on him as you kind of sound like you were, but I feel like, if I was trying to make an upset, I might want to slide Van Jefferson in, but I can see why Ben definitely would rather start Tim Patrick just because his floor is a lot higher than what Van Jefferson's is for sure. But I like the ceiling for Van Jefferson. So do you have any thoughts about that?
No, I mean, I agree with your point. I would go with Van Jefferson overall more just because I think I trust Stafford as a quarterback more than I trust Teddy Bridgewater. So that's kind of where it lies for me.
Okay. Right on. Cool. We are going to, and yes, we are. Okay. We are moving on to Katie versus Cassie. I don't believe Cassie has updated her matchups because she is projected. Maybe she is. That did not update. let's see here. Just give me a second here. Do you
Katie
want?
did as of now. When I checked earlier, she had like 42 points projected. So
Yeah. So let's see here. I'll just refresh it here real quick. Doop 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 doop. It is refreshing. There we go. Uh, okay. So Katie right now has she is projected 91.1 to Cassie's 93.1. I know that these pictures are a little screwed up. You can't see the defenses or the kickers, but that's not really that big of a deal. At least you can see the flexes. Um, who do you see in this matchup? Like, what's concerning? What's exciting to you in this matchup?
yeah, now that Katie's got a full lineup set, it's a little bit more exciting. She did have four of her starters on bye, so she's feeling it with all of us. I mean, Chris Carson's out with injury, Justin Herbert's on bye, Mike Williams, who's been great. Um, so I don't know that I love her depth very much, but her running backs both have pretty decent matchups this week. Damian Harris, especially versus the Jets, I think is going to be really good. Not loving Metcalf with Russell out, and not loving Julio Jones with just how he's played all year. So Katie's team, I'm not feeling great about. Cassie on the other side of the ball. I kind of think it's interesting. She's kind of rolling with the handcuff heroes, so to speak, with Khalil Herbert in Chicago and Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. So I would probably go Cassie just because I think those matchups are going to be really good and those guys are going to get the full volume.
I see that she picked up Sam Darnold because when I was doing the stuff earlier, Sam Darnold was available to be picked up. So she must have just picked him up today. What are your thoughts on Sam Darnold? I know he kind of had a stinker last week versus Minnesota, but the New York Giants defense, if I remember right, if I was looking at it, I think they were like 28th against quarterbacks. What are your thoughts on starting a Sam Darnold this week?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to rely on him normally for your whole season, but he did have a full or a pretty solid start to the season initially. He's QB 11 on the year. I think as far as like a apocalypse or a Bye-Apocalypse fill-in, he's going to be a pretty good option. Chris McCaffrey's still out, so he's going to have to throw the ball more. He's shown his ability to run too. He's had a few rushing touchdowns, surprisingly, like 5 on the year. So I think for like a spot start to try to survive, he's not going to be bad. And I mean, like you said, the Giants defense is terrible.
Yeah, I actually like the play. I almost picked him, but just that recency bias of him against Minnesota, like I was like, yeah, I think Carson Wentz probably would have made a better play this week. But I definitely respect the move, and I really think that Sam Darnold could have a potential top 12 finish this week in fantasy, since the New York Giants are so putrid in defense. Looking at Cassie's team. Uh, Actually, this is actually kind of a good question. Danny Dimes or Sam Darnold? Are you thinking who's going to have the better fantasy matchup?
It's so tough because I mean Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones runs the ball so much. So I mean, like if he turns into having another 30, 40, 50 rushing yards and maybe a touchdown, he could win it. But quarterback to quarterback, I mean, you can't bank on a huge run like that. So I will take Darnold. I actually like him as an actual quarterback more. Plus, a ton of the Giants' weapons are banged up. They've got no Saquon. Kenny Galladay, I believe, is still out. Darius Slayton might be playing. Sterling Shepard's banged up. So I just think that's not great. And the Panthers defense has stepped up a little bit more. So I think I would fear them more than the Giants defense. So I would take Sam Darnold.
Okay, and who are you picking in this matchup?
I am picking, I think I am picking Cassie. I will go with Cassie.
Yeah, that's who I was going to pick too. Just looking at her roster up and down, I think I like her team more this week. Katie's team has a lot of big name players like DK and Julio, but DK has got Geno Smith throwing on the ball. Julio has been
Yep.
underwhelming by a lot this year. So Damian Harris, I don't know. I just think up and down, Cassie's team probably has the advantage in this one. So, and I mean, ESPN thinks so as well. So, I'm picking Cassie as well. Moving on, we are going to talk about your matchup, Jack, and you're currently losing by 10 points already. So, that's pretty sweet. Josh is projected 107.3 to your 97.5. Tell me about your matchup, man. What do you see?
Yeah, Josh has got Ernest Johnson going off for him right now in the Thursday night game. He's already got a touchdown at 44 yards, which is great because I picked him up and played him in like 3 leagues, including our guillotine league, but not great because Josh has him. So um, nobody deserves to lose to me at this point in the season. Like I said, I mean, I'm starting my like flex running backs and wide receivers right now are, let's see, waivers, and like 8th round draft pick are the 5 I'm starting. So beyond Kelsey, it's a whole lot of nothing. Just trying to play the matchups at this point. I mean, I've got Cordero Patterson, who's been a lights out explosion, and then Devin Booker with the backups coming in for Saquon. As far as Josh's side of the ball, he is missing his 2 top running backs, his 2 starters with Kareem Hunt out in injury and Najee Harris on bias. At least I catch him on a bad week. But as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I basically flip flop that with not having my 2 starting receivers. So I have Jalen Waddle and T.Y. Hilton or Rashad Bateman just scraping the bottom of the barrel. So Josh deserves to win. He probably will win. I like his receivers more. I probably like my running backs more, but that's about it. That plus Kelsey is about all I've got on him, I think.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be picking Josh to win in this matchup. Looking at your squad, I think one player that I am really interested to see how well he does this week is Jalen Waddle. He's going up against an Atlanta defense that is terrible. And if Tua can find him the ball and have the arm strength to get him the ball, I think Jalen Waddle could have a huge game. Taking a look here at what at the matchup overall. I just look at it and I like I'm looking at Josh's flex. Darnell Mooney. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Darnell Mooney?
I mean, he's been doing better than Allen Robinson has this year, but neither of them are really sustainable on the Bears offense. So
Darnell
until
Mooney,
Justin Fields, yeah,
Darnell Mooney has had his 2 best games have 10 and a half fantasy points and 13 and a half fantasy points. So I mean that's it's nothing to brag about. I look at a guy that Josh has on his bench. Let's look at Kadarius Toney here. What's he done?
I
Uh
believe he's injured, so he's
oh,
probably not
he
going to
is
play.
injured.
Yeah, I would just say the fact that he's got Mooney starting over Allen Robinson, who, I mean, I like Robinson in past years more, but obviously he's struggled a lot this year. I think Allen Robinson's questionable, though. He didn't practice today, so I mean, maybe that's the reason for the Mooney play. If Robinson's out and Mooney's the only guy, I mean, it's not for lack of talent that he's doing bad. It's just people can't get him the ball.
Correct. I'm looking here at Robinson. Let's see here. It doesn't say. Oh, he was limited. Yeah, he was limited today at practice. So, yeah. The bye weeks, man. Yikes. I mean, he's got like Najee on the bench. I mean, which I'm sure he would play, but
Yeah,
yeah. So, how about Devonta Freeman? Would you play Devonta Freeman over
God no,
Darnell Moon? Really? Even with
God
how
no.
bad? Even with Okay. All right. I'm just
I just no. We already took like downgrades on the Ravens running backs coming into the season with how much Lamar runs the ball, and now we're talking. I mean, Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell both scored a touchdown last week, I believe, and Latavius Murray is in the game. So I mean, I don't think there's enough to go around. I think you're banking on a rushing touchdown at this point. I'd rather have a deep shot for Darnell Mooney. I mean, they're playing the Buccaneers. Their defense is great, but the worst of the 3 is the secondary. They're probably going to be from behind all game, so I mean, they're going to have to take shots. I think I like the upside of him catching one long bomb more than I do about Freeman resurrecting his career in his like age 29, 30 season and becoming relevant again.
what you just said to me was pretty interesting. You were saying that you think Baltimore is going to be playing from behind all game long. Are
No,
you?
Chicago is going to be playing from behind against the
Oh,
Buccaneers
okay. I'm sorry. I
for
must have
Darnell
misheard
Mooney.
you. Sure. Okay, I misheard what you said. Okay. All right. It is worth noting though, if Latavius Murray does not go, Devonta Freeman might actually be a play. Not a great play, but he might be a play. I mean, you take a running back out of that situation, and it obviously presents better for who's ever out there, even though both are absolute trash when it comes to fantasy football. Is there any other things that you have to say about this matchup? Otherwise, we're going to move on.
No, Josh, enjoy your win. We'll move on to the final team so we can get it all wrapped up here.
All righty. We are talking about my team, the Zim Reaper versus Call of Duty Warzone, one of my favorite team names this year. Jordan, currently, Jordan has a point 0.3 point advantage over me currently, but he is looking at a projected total of 53.4. Now, I'm not exactly sure if he just hasn't set his lineup or if he is not going to run with a quarterback at all or a tight end or a flex at all this week. So if that happens, then I will definitely take this win because I mean, I figured I was going to be taking a giant L this week. So Jack, what is it that you see that concerns you, even though there's not really a lot to talk about since there is so many blank spots here on this matchup? Oh no, is Jack there? Did he freeze? Oh, he's there. No, Jack, you're muted, dude. I think you're muted. Can I not hear him? Can you say something?
Sorry,
There,
I got
there
a
you.
call quick.
Oh, oh,
one
are
of
you
my
on
one
a?
of my insiders.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. I'll just keep talking here then. So just chime in when you're back.
No,
So
you're fine.
oh,
You can
okay.
talk about your matchup. I didn't have a ton. I was going to let you cover this one, so go right ahead.
So it's really hard to say right now because I don't know exactly know what Jordan is doing since he has his quarterback, tight end, and his flex open right now. So I did pick up the Patriots defense for this week, so I'm really hoping that I'll get a ton of points out of them. Uh, my running backs are just absolute trash right now that I'm playing. I have Tyson Williams in there right now, and he is projected a big old goose egg, which means I'm gonna have to go to the waiver wire because I don't have another running back on my roster right now that can play because Nick Chubb is hurt, Austin Eckler's on bye, so that just sucks a lot right now. So I'm gonna be literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm have no idea who I'm gonna be picking up for that. My wide receivers are okay for this week. I'm happy about that. So um, I can't even make a prediction because I don't even really know who I'm playing against. But I mean, as of right now, I mean, I'm only projected 85 points, so I don't feel that good. Definitely my lowest projected total on the season. So I'm just I don't know how to feel about this matchup. If he's not going to set a lineup, then I'll obviously take the win. So um, I was happy with my wide receiver depth that I drafted, so I was able to flex in T Higgins over Deontay Johnson, and then my other two wide receivers haven't had their bye yet, so not too bad. So I'm obviously picking me. I've picked myself all year long. Jack, do you have any thoughts or anything like that on this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, until Jordan sets his lineup, you got to go with you. That being said, I think the fact that you're basically going to bench Tyson Williams, I don't know who else you're going to pick up off the waivers to start in place of him. So rolling with J.D. McKissick and whoever is the bottom of the barrel on waivers as your other running back, since you don't have one in the flex or on your bench you can play, that's going to hurt. I know Jordan hasn't filled in a lot of his guys, but he did pick up Tua and then Ricky Seals-Jones, who had a pretty good week last week. So it's going to be a really gross matchup for Jordan. But I think if you looked at the score will end up being better than if you just looked at his starting roster overall. So I think he could maybe surprise here, just depending on how the rest of your team does, because your running backs are hurting and missing like Deontay Johnson, who's one of my favorite receivers of yours too, is going to hurt. But we'll see. I still think you probably have the edge, but I think Jordan could surprise people here.
It looks like he just hasn't added him to the roster yet, but it looks like he's going to be starting Tua. He's going to start
Yeah,
Ricky
Tua
Seals
and Seals
Jones,
Jones.
and then he's going to, for his flex, he's going to have Ramondre Stevenson. So
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Even with those players in, I'm still going to pick myself to win. Let me ask you one quick question here. I have Mike Gesicki as my tight end playing this week, but on my bench I have Rob Gronkowski, who looks like he might be playing this weekend. Do you slide in Rob Gronkowski, an injured, most likely hurt Rob Gronkowski, not 100%, for a Mike Gesicki, who in the last few weeks of fantasy football, the last 2 out of 3 weeks has been a decent week. In week 4, he scored 11.7, and in week 6, he scored 11.5. Who would you rather start in that spot?
It's tough because I don't think Gronk is going to end up playing, but I think if he plays, like, seems like they have no problem benching him with the injury history he's had. So like, if he plays, I believe he's not going to be limited snap counts. He seems like he's either kind of like 100% or 0%. And Brady just loves looking his way so much. Where I think tight ends are such a coin flip outside of the top 2 or 3 elite guys. So I think if you got Gronk, you gotta go with the better chance to score a touchdown, and that's clearly Gronk to me. So if he gets the green light, I think I would play him. If he comes in with even like a questionable like game time decision, then I would roll with Gesicki. But I think both things equal, I'm going Gronk.
Okay, cool. Right on. That's a
All
great
right.
take. So, the next thing that we are gonna roll into is actually I think
I was
we're
like,
pretty
we
much
don't have
done.
to cover those really. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done.
No.
I went two I went 2-1 last week. How did you do?
In our Dynasty, Superflex, and Guillotine,
Yeah.
and what?
No, Victoria's Secret. Well, obviously you lost Victoria's
Oh,
Secret. So,
I went 2-1. Also, I lost Victoria's Secret, but I won one in the other 2.
okay, right on. Cool. I don't think we really have anything else.
No, that's a good spot to leave it on.
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. Just a few things here that I want to wrap up with looking in the chat. I see Luke says 3 out of 10 for creative team names. I should have asked him sooner what his favorite team names were. Luke, if you join the Discord, you can tell us. That'd be sweet. And then some guy or some person, I don't even know if it's a guy, some person named the GOAT says that purple jersey needs to go. And we are from Minnesota, so that's an absolute hell no. We're not getting rid of it. What is your jersey? Is that a Kirk Cousins jersey? Boom.
You know it.
Dude. Top 12 quarterback
Dude's lighting it up.
in the league, bruh. So, all right. I don't think I have anything else. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I think we had a really great turnout tonight. I was watching our stream numbers here. We had 9 people at one point watching us, and then we sustained probably right around 4 or 5 all throughout the episode. So that was really awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming out and watching our stream. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to Al for posting that question in the Discord. If you want to ask questions on the Discord, please join our Discord. Like I've been stating throughout this whole episode, there's so much to do in that Discord. So, that's all right, Face. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming out. You'll be able to see the video. I didn't link it so in your guys' Discord, so I'll be sure to do that next time. But thank you everybody for just coming out. Like it was a fun ep. We got to break down a lot of players and matchups and stuff like that. So again, check the show notes for all of our socials and our Discord link and all that other fun stuff. www.streamlabs.com/thevictoriouspod is a place to donate, so please make sure you do that. I don't think I have anything else. Jack, thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, good to be here. I'm gonna go watch some Thursday Night Football now. So we'll talk next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out. For a few minutes or for a little bit in the purple lot. So if anybody wants to join me in Discord, we can do that. Watch some football. Otherwise, we are taking off. So everybody have a great night, and we will see you again next week here on the Victorious POD. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you everybody for coming out, man. I really appreciate that. It was such a great podcast. So I just want to say thank you again, guys. This was our best turnout that we've had. And if you guys like what you see, I really encourage you guys to share our link. We are definitely still trying to get to that 100 subs. So I just truly appreciate how good of a turnout that we had tonight. So thank you so much. So all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm hanging out here in Discord. I'm in the purple lot. If you guys want to come hang out, come check me out in our Discord here. And I'm gonna watch some football. So if you guys want to hang out, watch some football, chit chat, let's do that. All right, catch you guys later.